everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news and going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. And the first topic that I want to talk about today is in regards to Captain America 3. Now, Jeremy Renner was just doing an interview for his upcoming film, Kill the Messenger, and he was discussing his upcoming projects. Obviously, he name-dropped movies such as Mission Impossible 5 and other projects that he's working on, but then he also said that he's not quite sure what's happening with Cap 3. He said he's heard rumblings of his appearance in Cap 3. Now, if this is indeed true, it spells out a couple of different things. One, Hawkeye was originally going to be joining up with Cap and Black Widow in Cap 2. And through several discussions and things like that, they decided that he wasn't really needed. Him being in the film didn't add anything. They decided to give the majority of the lines that they had written in for Hawkeye to Black Widow. So they completely cut him out of the film. But on top of that, it just adds to the point where it makes a little bit more sense that he would be appearing in Cap 3. Also because of the spoiler alert for those of you who have not seen Captain America 2. It also deals with the dismantling of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what's going to happen with all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who were not part of Hydra. But on top of that, that also means that if this is indeed true, then we know that Hawkeye makes it through Avengers 2. And a lot of the speculation around has been that one of the main Avengers from the film is actually going to be dying in the movie. Now, we know that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be appearing in another Avengers film. He's signed on for 2 more films, so he's safe. We know already that we're getting Captain America 3, so we know that Captain America is safe. We know we're getting a Thor 3, so we know that Thor is safe. The Hulk, obviously they're not going to kill the Hulk because they have so many more options to utilize with him, so they're not going to kill the Hulk, which left Black Widow and Hawkeye. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that Black Widow is going to be getting her own film. And also, Marvel has such a good relationship with Scarlett Johansson, especially after the Avengers. Now, before this, Scarlett Johansson did not have the best working relationship with Marvel. She didn't necessarily want to continue donning the Black Widow costume, mainly due to how her character was utilized in Iron Man 2. Then at least she saw what Joss Whedon could do in Avengers. And obviously what opened up the possibilities for her was Captain America 2. So I don't see her viewpoint on Marvel being the same that it was a few years ago. I believe that she does want to continue playing this character, albeit with the ability to go and do other projects as she sees fit, which most of them do have the ability to do. But even on top of that, that really only leaves Hawkeye out of the main crew to potentially be killed in the next film. Now, other people have been saying that it's probably going to be one of the twins that gets killed in the upcoming film. And if that is true, that's not going to have as big of an impact as one of the actual Avengers would, because we haven't had enough time to actually grow and love these characters and have that emotional impact of losing this person. Now, in the comics, obviously, no character ever really stays dead, so it's never really a problem. They can always try to figure out a way to bring them back. But there are other hints and quotes hidden inside not only what Jeremy Renner said, but what Joe and Anthony Russo said, the directors of Captain America 2 and the upcoming Cap 3. When they were asked about whether or not they would want to see any other Avengers appear in the new film, they responded, and I'll read the exact quote here. They responded, "That's such a hard question because we've already kind of done that. Do they have to be under contract with Marvel? Maybe they're at another studio." Now, that led people to assume, okay, are they just talking about actors and stuff like that? But then Joe Russo followed up on that by stating and name dropping something that I think every geek out there almost lost their minds over, because he talked about when he was younger, when he was a collector, one of the series that he always wanted to adapt, at least in its size and scope, was Secret Wars. Now, for those of you who don't know what Secret Wars was basically every single Marvel character, with the exception of a few, but almost every single Marvel character in one giant storyline going after almost every single Marvel villain. You had almost everybody from the X-Men teaming up with the Fantastic Four, with the exception of Invisible Woman. You had the Avengers teaming up, like all of these characters teaming up. Spider-Man came in, Spider-Woman came in. You even had Magneto kind of trying to be a good guy. And then on the villain side, you had everybody from Ultron to Dr. Octopus to Galactus was in there. You had almost every single character that Marvel had created, at least every major character that Marvel had ever created in one long storyline. Now, he even goes on to say that he doesn't know if it is possible to actually do an adaptation of that due to the rights issues, but we've been hearing this more and more now in regards to, we're trying to do this, but the rights are kind of getting in the way. And a lot of projects are trying to do that right now. And that, to me, is interesting. That means that there's at least negotiations going on, because the people who are in charge of these projects, the people who are overseeing the Marvel Studios films, the people who are overseeing the Sony films, the Fox films, they all know, at least they tell their writers, listen, you can only incorporate characters from the Fantastic Four pantheon, or you can only write in characters from the X-Men pantheon or the Spider-Man pantheon. You cannot include any other characters. So with writers and even storytellers like directors and producers trying to get other characters thrown into their films that are not even part of Marvel's contract, that, to me at least, says that there are deals going on behind the scenes. There are talks happening. There are things happening in boardrooms that we're not accompanied to, that we're not associated with, that we don't get told, where they are working out, okay, if we include this character in this movie, what does that mean for us? How much do we get on the back end? How much they need to be included by this much, all this, that, and the other thing. I do think that there is a way that some of these characters can be brought on. They don't necessarily need to be pivotal. It would just be a nice throwback for the fans. It doesn't even need to necessarily coincide with the Spider-Man universe, per se, that they've created. Because Secret Wars actually deals with alternate worlds and alternate realities. So that is kind of a way that they could try going about doing this, that it could potentially work. And as you can see behind me here, we got our first official look, at least a better full look, at Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye's costume in Avengers 2. So as you can see on here, he's got his jacket now, as opposed to what he just had the vest in the first movie, but it's more in line with the color aspect that we're aware of. You can see the purple in his costume right there and right there. I do really find that they're trying to follow a little bit more close to what the source material was, while still telling a story that's going to benefit the movie cinematic universe. Not necessarily just adapting the comic, and that's something that a lot of fans do need to separate. But I'm kind of getting off track. The thing that I really like about this is that they're really trying to open up and expand on what they can do, instead of just trying to go deeper and deeper and deeper to the more risky characters that they could try to introduce, trying to see if they can pull other characters and bring them into this story just to tell the story. Not about to get these characters to appear in the film, it's whether or not that's a cool story and whether or not that works. And the Secret Wars is one that I definitely do think could work, as long as the studios would get along. That's not something likely to happen, at least not all of them. I could see Sony doing something, because right now they're hurting, but Fox, definitely not. Fox is riding a high right now after Days of Future Past. They have Simon Kinberg, the guy who wrote Days of Future Past, wrote the Fantastic Four, which is the next Fox movie coming out next year. And then on top of that, we've got Apocalypse coming out. They do not have any inclination, as it stands right now, to include any other characters in their movies, because they don't need to. These movies are making pretty much as much money as they could. The people who would go to see these movies are going to see these movies. So I don't see them needing to do anything. But Sony, on the other hand, yes, they made a fair amount of money overseas. But they are at a point right now where they are not quite sure what the next movies are going to be like. And I don't mean story-wise. I mean response-wise. The critical and audience response from Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a lot lower than they thought it was going to be. And that affected their upcoming timeline. Like, they've already adjusted Amazing Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 4, Sinister Six, Venom, and this female-led Spider-Man film. They've all readjusted those movies. So originally we were getting Amazing Spider-Man 3 first. Then it was likely to get Sinister Six, followed by Amazing Spider-Man 4, followed by Venom, because they were going to do a yearly release. Well, now that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. We are getting Sinister Six first. We're getting that at the end of 2016. 2017 is rumored to have 2 Sony-related films. I don't see that happening. I don't see Venom happening for a long time. Alex Kurtzman, the one who's attached to that film, and he's currently doing The Mummy, which is going to be released in the summer of 2016. So he's not even going to get time to start working on Venom, at least, full steam, until at least summer 2016, after he's done his press tour for The Mummy. So it's... I see Sony being the ones who would be more willing to have conversations about including themselves in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not selling the character back. Sony's never going to do that. It's the only major bankable franchise they have outside of Bond. And even Bond they share. So this one, no, I don't see them getting rid of it at all. But Captain America 3, as it stands right now, only has Captain America involved. We know the Winter Soldier's coming back. We know Joe and Anthony Russo are coming back to write and direct it, or just to direct it. The writer's coming back as well. So the only things that we do know are what I just previously said, and the fact that the movie is coming out on May 6th, 2016. But if we get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. All right, and this next topic is one that I've actually been following this project for a while now and hoping that we'd actually get something out of it. I was hoping it wasn't just this, hey, we've announced this project and we're going to go ahead with it, and then everything just kind of falls apart. But that doesn't look like it's the case. We are getting a new version of a vacation film. Now, for a while, they were trying to reboot the franchise. What they've done now is they are doing a pseudo-sequel of sorts. I mean, it's still a sequel, but... it's kind of rebooting it at the same time. It's a very unique situation with this film. But the property I'm talking about is the Vacation series. And we know, first off, we know that Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo are going to be cameoing in the new film. The new film is going to be focusing on Rusty's grown-up character. And Ed Helms from the Hangover movies, from The Office, he's going to be portraying Rusty Griswold. Now, this movie has been, he was cast in 2012, so he's been on this project for more than 2 years. And there was a while where the film was gearing up to start production, and then everything stopped because they were having a fight between what the rating of the film was going to be. Whether or not it was going to be, PG-13, whether or not it was going to be rated R. And as far as I'm aware, they have settled on it. They just have not announced as to what it's going to be. Judging by the people they're getting involved with this movie, I'm going to say it's going to be PG-13. Which to me is, I mean, take it or leave it. One of the best vacation movies, at least to me, is Christmas Vacation. And that movie was PG-13. And I absolutely love that film. That is so funny. But we've just had a couple of casting announcements to this film. So first off, Chris Hemsworth, who is a little bit of a surprise to a lot of people joining a film like this, will be playing Rusty's brother-in-law. And he's got a great name. His name in the movie is going to be Stone Crandall. I'm not making that up. And he is playing basically an up-and-coming anchorman who is the brother-in-law to Rusty's character. And we also have Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, from Horrible Bosses. He was also in Pacific Rim. He will be playing a river rafting guide. Now, there's no additional explanation as to the type of character he's going to be playing, which to me means he's going to have a smaller role. We do know that Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo are returning for just a cameo. They won't be involved in the film. But the main thing that I like about this is they're continuing the continuity, which means that Rusty has all the memories of all these terrible vacations that he went on with his family as a child. And he's had this phobia of taking vacations, so he's trying to get over that by taking his family on the best vacation ever. And Christina Applegate's actually also signed on to play his wife. So there's a couple of interesting aspects to this film, which I'm really looking forward to. And on top of that, the guys who are writing this movie also wrote Horrible Bosses, so it's going to have that same level of feel. Now, these guys can also write family-friendly fare, which means that's why I'm not sure if it's going to be PG-13 or rated R. But they do have very good comedic sensibilities when it comes to both of those rating systems. the rating system is another argument for another day, so don't even get me started on that. But this is something that is fascinating to me, only because Chris Hemsworth has been trying to do a straight up comedy for a while. This has been something that's been on his radar, and he's been looking for the right property to join up on. And I think this is probably going to be one of the best choices that he could have made for a property to join up with. Joining the comedic timings of people like Ed Helms and Charlie Day, and even Christina Applegate. I think this is going to be a winning combination. I really am excited for this film. Chris Hemsworth is always known as the big stereotypical action hero, and I think he's really going to be able to play against type. The first thing that came to my mind when I heard that he was joining this film, I immediately jumped to James Marsden in Anchorman 2. I could see him playing that kind of a character, because James Marsden, for the most part, is known for more dramatic roles. Not necessarily action roles, but more dramatic roles. And when he came on and did that character, I mean, that was, you got a problem, bro? You saying something to me, bro? It was just so against type. And that's one of the reasons why it's so funny. It's like when Tom Cruise played Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder. It was so against type. That was one of the reasons why it worked so well. So I think Chris Hemsworth being in this movie playing his brother-in-law, successful anchorman, is probably going to be, they're going to make him look all very dashing and all that, this kind of stuff. And I think it's going to be really, really fun. The movie is gearing up to start shooting in September, which means we're probably going to be getting most likely a summer release. They may try to squeeze this one out in spring, but I doubt it's going to be finished by that point. I think we're going to get it late summer, maybe early fall of next year. So when we get more information about this, I will definitely update you guys on here. But as it stands right now, this one's high on my radar. I'm very much excited for this film. But yeah, when we get more information about this, I'll definitely update you guys on here. This next story here is about the upcoming found footage film called Exists. Now, Exists is from the director of the Blair Witch Project, Eduardo Sanchez. And this trailer to me is fascinating. It's not really because the movie looks pretty cool, which I think it has some promise, but it's so stereotypical in its delivery that I almost don't know. The one thing that is kind of holding me over is this movie screened at the Midnight Madness of South by Southwest earlier this year. And it won the Midnighters Audience Award, which means the audience loved this movie the most out of all the films that they saw. Now, watching the trailer, the first thing that comes to mind is, great, okay, it's basically Cabin in the Woods meets Friday the 13th, meets this, that, and the other thing, meets every other movie that's set in the woods. And at first glance, it looks like that. Even watching the full trailer, that's what it comes across as. But the subject matter about this trailer is what fascinates me. Because to me, Bigfoot is one of those great American myths. There's so much potential for stories to be told about this. I remember when I first decided to become a filmmaker, before I even went to any film classes in high school or anything like that, I started writing a script. Well, not really a script. It was more so just a story. And it was about a Sasquatch. Now, it was more so about a family who, it was set. I'll give you the kind of the cliff notes of it. It was set, started off in about the year 1680 or 1690 or something like that. And for some reason, I can't remember why I wrote it like this, but for some reason, one of the creatures, these Sasquatch creatures, perhaps even just a Yeti, because it was in Europe, or set in Europe, but one had been walking around the Scottish Highlands, and I wrote this story about how all the townsfolk, it was kind of like a combination of Frankenstein and a couple other stories, where the townsfolk had devised a trap and had trapped this creature in a cavern system underneath this hill region. And they had built this dungeon around it, completely sealed it up, and then they had built this big castle on top of it. And then the movie cuts to modern day. And these people end up inheriting this mansion or this castle or whatever it is, or at least the grounds. And when they go to visit it, when they're excavating everything, because they're like, it's been run down, hasn't been used in centuries. And they bring in a team to excavate it, and they find this dungeon. But the dungeon, when they go back to it the next day, like once they find the door, they then go back to it the next day to see about, what's the whole deal with this, and the door's been opened. And the creature is now loose again. And that was the basic premise that I had. But that was back when I was, I think, 12 or 13. And I have been fascinated with movies like this. Not like the bad movie of the week movies. I mean, actually taking a Bigfoot story in any medium and making it for mainstream audiences. Not making it very tongue-in-cheek, not doing anything like that, but also not going way too serious. Now, this movie looks like it's kind of straddling that line, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very intrigued by this film. Because I've been waiting for a movie like this. The only successful Bigfoot movie I think I've ever seen was Harry and the Hendersons. And, I mean, I don't think anything's going to top that. I remember watching that when I was just a little kid, and that movie, I loved it. But looking at what this trailer does, outside of the stereotypes, outside of the tropes, the common tropes that we always see, there are some fascinating aspects to this. And on top of that, them winning the Midnighters Audience Award. I mean, I'm getting really excited about this. The movie comes out on October 19th, I believe. October 24th, my mistake. It'll be available in theaters and also on demand. But, I got to tell you, I got the link in the description below for the video. So, I mean, if you guys want to check it out, I definitely recommend checking it out. But this looks it looks odd. It looks weird. To me personally, I think the stereotypes being in the trailer is part of the marketing campaign, because marketing studios or marketing companies nowadays are idiots. For the most part, they don't know how to sell a movie. One of the best, actually, little side note, one of the best examples I've seen of movie marketing where when you watch the film, you literally got everything that you were advertised was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just went and saw Ninja Turtles again last night. It was a double feature with that and Guardians, and I got to tell you, I rewatched the trailer before I went and saw the movie, and when I saw the movie, it was exactly what I knew I was going to get. It was the second time I'd seen the movie. It was still as fun as the first time I saw it. Usually movies will take you by surprise when you first see them, and then you rewatch them, they've lost a lot of that. I didn't get that with Turtles. I still found it fun. I still found Michelangelo a hell of a blast. And there's just... It's really hard to explain. But when you get movies like that are marketed that way, but then you get movies like Edge of Tomorrow, which is okay, I need to take a minute on this. Why Warner Brothers changed the damn title. First off, it was All You Need Is Kill. Now, I can understand why they would want to change that title. It's an awesome title, don't get me wrong. But that would be a little bit difficult of a title to market. That's going to narrow down your audience a little bit more. So Edge of Tomorrow, I do understand coming up with a title like that. They chose the wrong title because Edge of Tomorrow is way too damn generic. But Warner Brothers has now made the stupid decision of changing the title of the movie again. The movie has already come out. Let me repeat that. The movie has already come out. It has already had its theatrical run. Warner Brothers, on its home video release, has decided to change the damn name. The movie is now called Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. Are you kidding me? If you wanted to go with that title, which I do find is a better title, I actually find Live, Die, Repeat, Lose the Edge of Tomorrow. I find that is a better title than Edge of Tomorrow. They should have had that be the title for the movie in theaters. That would have made sense. Live, die, repeat. That is something that will catch people's attention. There's not titles like that. Movies don't get made with names like that. That'll stick in people's heads. And I don't understand why they did this. Why would they change the title? It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. The movie has proven that it is good. Almost every critic out there liked it. Most people who actually went and saw it really did like it and knew how fun the movie was. Yet Warner Brothers changed the damn title again. And the cover art for the movie doesn't even really look like it's from the movie. So people are going to see this Tom Cruise movie on Blu-ray shelves in a couple of weeks. And they're going to think, when did this movie come out? I've never seen this movie. I've never heard about this movie before. And maybe that's the point that they're going for. They want people to forget that it was called Edge of Tomorrow and call it something else to see if they can get more money. But it's too late, Warner Brothers. It's way too late. You already made your bed. Now you guys got to sleep in it. You don't go and change the title of a movie. What if they had changed Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, to Star Wars, No Death Star, after the movie had come out? Because that's the one thing that people said the most about after when the movie came out. There was no Death Star. You know, if that had been a major comment after the movie, do you think that 20th Century Fox and Lucasfilm would have changed the title of the film? God, no. And thank God that they didn't. But when looking at something like Warner Brothers coming out and being fearful of their potential franchises, because this movie was supposed to launch a franchise. I don't know how they would have done that, but it was supposed to launch a franchise. And when you look at Harry Potter's now done, they're trying to revive that with Fantastic Beasts. Now they got all these DC movies coming out. Outside of that, they don't really have any tried and true properties. I mean, Hobbit is ending now. That's the last Middle Earth movie that we're going to get, unless Peter Jackson decides to do what was that other book? Oh, I can't remember the other book that Tolkien wrote, but it's one that he didn't finish. So, I mean, it's not going to be... I doubt Peter Jackson's going to come back to that. But Warner Brothers right now is hurting for franchises. So why are they changing the title of a movie that's already come out to theaters? I don't understand it. Now I'm getting angry. And it bugs me. I don't get why they do this. I really don't. And I know I've gone way off topic because I'm here talking about the Bigfoot trailer. And now I'm talking about Warner Brothers and franchises. But still, definitely go in the description of this video below to find the link for this trailer, because I definitely recommend you checking it out. But I want to see more mainstream films like this. I mean, we get Greek god movies all the time, you know, and that's just mythology. This Sasquatch is mythology. It's not something that people have proven, although, I mean, I'm not going to say whether or not there's something out there because I don't know. But this is something where you could make a film about this. You could make a really cool film. And as from the response that I've heard about this movie, we're actually going to be getting that. I just wish it wasn't found footage, especially looking at this image right here. That to me looks like it would be really cool in a cinematic shot, not in a found footage shot. Imagine an action sequence where you see the camera lift up and you see this big creature jumping at you, and that's the end of the trailer. Because this is the end of the trailer, but they did it all like glitchy and all kind of found footage crap, and I really just don't like those tricks. But yeah, I mean, having a mainstream movie like this, I think would really be cool, as long as it was done right. But I mean, any project done right would be cool. You could have, you know, a woman in white gloves with a popsicle for 2 hours. You know, and if you had the right team of writers and you had the right actors, you had the right director, it could make a good film. But yeah, I mean, I do think that projects like this do need to be made more, because first off, they're still based on something that a lot of people know, but they're still new movies, which is what Hollywood is losing out on right now. But anyway, this movie is going to be scheduled for release in the last week of October 24th. So you guys can either find it in theaters or on iTunes when it becomes available at that time. But if more information comes out about this project, I will definitely update you guys on here. And the last topic is going to be a quick one today. Word came out this morning. Actually, it was either this morning or it was last night. But I believe it was this morning. That Mike Epps has landed the coveted role of portraying Richard Pryor in the upcoming biopic directed by Lee Daniels, whose last film he did was The Butler. Funny kind of story about this project. This has been in the works for a while. There's a lot of drama going on behind the scenes, mainly between Richard Pryor's second or seventh wife. I think it was his most recent wife, and one of his kids. His kids don't necessarily want his wife to have the life story rights. And they said, the kids basically said, if this movie goes into production, we're going to be suing you because we feel that you should not have the life rights because you were only married to him for X amount of years, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that has caused a lot of delays in this project. This was actually supposed to be done originally before he did The Butler. And they couldn't get everything done. He wanted to tell this other story, so he went and did that. And now all the ducks look like they're lining up, because Mike Epps was recently cast, and he actually beat out people such as Nick Cannon and Marlon Wayans, and even Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan for a while was the heavy contender for this role. But Nick Cannon really wanted the role. I mean, the dude learned how to smoke cigarettes with a different hand, just like Richard Pryor did with his left hand. He learned his mannerisms, his facial expressions. He learned how he walked. He learned, he really invested a lot of time in becoming this character. And unfortunately, he didn't get the role. Good for us, though, because Nick Cannon's not a very good actor. I do think that Mike Epps is going to surprise a lot of people because he's had a lot of successful roles out there that have kind of been overshadowed by other players in other films. But he really does have the chops, in my personal opinion, to do this. I do think that he's going to blow us all away as Richard Pryor. But, I mean, on top of that, we have Lee Daniels doing it. The guy currently has a very solid track record. He did Precious, and then he did The Butler. So, I mean, he's got a pretty good resume of delivering movies that are solid, that are worthy, that are very character-driven, that have very good characters in them, not just character-driven, but actually have characters that are worth watching. But yeah, there's no word on this when this project's actually going to begin production. But judging by the speed this is going by, because Oprah Winfrey's on board as a producer, she's going to be potentially starring in the film as well. This most likely means that we're going to be seeing this movie, at least in awards contention, either coming out next fall or the fall after that. They're not going to release this movie any other time other than in the fall. This is definitely going to be an awards contender movie. But if we get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. You can go ahead and click subscribe there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also find me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And you can also find me on my Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. Now, on every Friday episode, I also take some user-submitted questions. So I am going to be answering one question that was asked last week, and I did not get a chance to answer this week. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, put a comment in the comment section of the video, or you can email me at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. And until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.